What is up, everybody, and welcome to another tier list react video here on the channel. I've been meaning to make another one of these for quite some time, but I was planning on doing a different game. And then I was streaming the other day, and I was trying to find an image of boots to put on our death counter because I messed up and did not get to buy boots in Fire Emblem 6. And for some reason, in looking for boots images, I found this tier list. Now, this tier list is really bad, but the special reason, the reason that I really want to talk about it, is because this person, if I scroll down, has a bunch of explanations on why they put characters where they put characters. And I love this, because just looking at a tier list is sort of funny, but actually getting into sort of the mindset of why people put units the places that they do, I think is going to be really, really entertaining. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty long video, I think, because we're going to break down all of what this thing has to offer. Hopefully it won't be too boring, but yeah, should be fun. As always, before we actually start with the tier list, this is just for fun. If you're the person that made this tier list, you'll probably never see this, but if you do, you know, hopefully this, I don't know, maybe helps you understand at least why I think a lot of these characters shouldn't be where they are. But yeah, it's just for fun. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you know, always feel free to comment down below. But let's get right into it. So the tier list itself is wacky, and you can probably see that immediately. We can see right off the bat, we have Percival at the top of S. Percival is not the best unit in the game. He's really good, but he's not the best unit in the game. Obviously, S tier should be Milady, Marcus, Rucker, and then Percival. We have Marcus and Milady at the bottom of A, right behind Echidna. It's going to be really interesting to try to figure out why this person thinks Echidna is so good. I have no clue. Zealot is better than all of them at the top of A. Deke is the second best character in the game. Rucker's in B. This tier list is just wacky. And for some reason, one of the wackiest things, Lance and Alan, as you can see, are completely split by an entire tier when they're essentially the same unit. I'm gonna adjust my I gotta look proper. I gotta adjust my color a little bit here. Like, if anything, Alan is the better unit, but either way, like, they should be right next to each other. So in any case, like, let's get right into what this guy has to say, because this tier list is all over the place as far as the actual placements go. And I'm going to be looking off to my right a lot because I need to kind of make sure it's positioned well with my face cam and stuff. Okay. So let's read what this person has to say. There are probably a lot of you who are glaring at me from behind your screens. I mean, that's guilty as charged. Pointing to the many issues with this. Don't worry, I have an explanation behind every ranking. Perfect. Love that. Love it. Love to see it. Here are the rules I set for myself. Number 1, based on normal mode. Allow me to explain myself. In hard mode, the game is split unevenly into 2 categories. Okay, number 1, I'm gonna just stop it right there. A tier list isn't really different between normal mode and hard mode, right? So there are hard mode bonuses, which I'll probably talk about later, and we'll talk about as well. But a tier list isn't gonna look any different between normal and hard. It's easier to use worse units on normal, but the better units are still going to be better in the end. So there's no real difference between normal and hard. But in any case, let's see what he has to say here. The game is split unevenly into 2 categories: really good units and really bad units. It's just pretty funny, actually, because that's just not the case in FE6. Like, FE6 is kind of funny because there are really good units, really bad units, and then a fuck ton of units that are right in the middle. The C tier for Fire Emblem 6 is huge. And if we go up here, his C tier is huge. So I don't really know what he means by that. There are no in-betweens. That's why I deterred from basing this off hard mode. Again, I don't really know. I don't know why he thinks hard mode would change anything. What's funny is that this was solved in Fire Emblem 7, 8, and onward. Well, those have units that are evidently better to use than others. For example, in Radiant Dawn, people tend to use Zahark over Edward or Mia over Zahark. In Radiant Dawn, people use Zahark over Edward. I mean, that's true. For some do a better job at something than another unit that tries to do the exact same thing. Okay. Of course, well, this is true for Fire Emblem 6. For example, Milady over Zeus. The thing that differentiates this one from all the others is that, for example, if you really wanted to, you could invest heavily into Edward and make him a beast. That is not true for this example. There is no reason to use Zeus over Milady because Milady is one of the best units in Fire Emblem 6 hard mode. I hope you see what I mean by this. What is he trying to say here? Like, the same is also true for Fire Emblem 6. Number 1, even on hard mode, there's no reason to not use these because you're using Milady. You should just use both. That's just a bad, like, line of reasoning. And this idea that, like, Edward is a bad unit, but if you invest in him heavily, he can be really strong, is also true for Fire Emblem 6. I'm currently doing a low tier run where our busted units are Bors, Walt, and Wendy. Like, these are terrible units just like Edward, but if you invest in them, they're amazing. So this is just a flawed line of reasoning. Number one, just because you have a really strong version of a class doesn't mean you can't train another version of that same class. And number two, almost any unit in almost any game, including Fire Emblem 6, can be amazing if you put effort into them. So I guess I understand what he's trying to get at, but I don't know why he thinks it's different for those games. And this also doesn't make any sense, because he says in Radiant Dawn, people tend to use Zahark over Edward. Like, at least they're in the Dawn Brigade, or Mia over Zahark. That doesn't make any sense. Like, has this guy played Radiant Dawn? Zahark is on the Dawn Brigade and Mia's on the Grail Mercenaries. Unless you're recruiting Zahark to the Mercenaries, which you can do, like, why would these two even be competing with each other? Unless you're talking about bringing units to the tower, but, like, that's just whoever you train. So, I don't really know why this was solved in future games or why it's different in Fire Emblem 6. This doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not really sure what he's trying to get at here. But let's move on. He says, and two, we're assuming optimal play, not LTLC. I think that's low turn count. That's just going really fast. We're not support grinding turn 99. Most tier lists are based off the optimal play anyways. There's no reason to do that, or no reason to not do that, I should say. Anyways, without further... Okay, that's true. That's all very accurate. We should not be assuming LTLC, but we also shouldn't be assuming support grinding, all that stuff. So I totally agree with that. But the first point is so weird to me. I don't understand. Look, again, Fire Emblem 6, if anything, Fire Emblem 6 is unique in that there's a ton of units you can trade. That's why I love doing runs of it so much. The units aren't good, but then again, he admits that Edward isn't good. You can just put effort into him if you want. So, again, I don't really understand this logic. I think it's pretty flawed. But let's move on. So S tier, we have Percival. Hands down, without any objection of any sort, Percival is the best unit in the game. I don't know about that. This doesn't change in hard mode either, as hard mode bonuses make him, with no exaggeration, unstoppable. I mean, he admitted that Milady is one of the best units in the game, and then says that Percival is unstoppable? I mean, I don't know. You'd have to try to kill him, which is just not true. Anyone could die in hard mode. That's like the whole point. Well, this is also somewhat true for normal mode. Percival hasn't found that power in this difficulty. Well, this is somewhat true in normal mode. Percival hasn't found that power in this difficulty. What? And yes, at base, Percival can solo the game in both normal and hard mode, which is not true. And did I mention that he's mounted? Wait, what do you mean he hasn't found that power in this difficulty? Okay, I guess that means that he just doesn't have hard mode bonuses, which I guess is true. Did I mention that he's mounted and can use all silver weapons except for silver axe at base? That is a good point. That is a decent point. He does have really good weapon ranks. One glance at Percival shows you how flawed balance-wise FE6 is, and that should be enough to explain why Percival is where he is. Okay, this is incredibly flawed. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I'm cutting off some of this. No, I'm not. Sorry. This is extremely flawed because the only thing that would change from normal mode to hard mode is that characters who get hard mode bonuses should be worse. Percival is one of those characters. Don't get me wrong. Percival is still amazing on normal mode, and he's absolutely amazing on hard mode. He's, you know, the third best character in the game, or whatever, maybe minus dancers. But, like, this is a character that should be lower because of hard mode bonuses. He admits that he's weaker on normal mode. And yes, of course, the mode is weaker too, but you have all these other units who aren't weaker because they don't have to deal with hard mode bonuses. So I have no idea what he's talking about here. I also don't understand why he loves Percival so much. By the time you're recruiting Percival, both Lance and Alan will be promoted and much stronger, especially on normal mode, because he doesn't get hard mode bonuses. That doesn't necessarily make them better units, but, like, he's not unstoppable. His stats are not that strong. They are good, but they're not that strong. And again, we'll get to Milady when he gets to Milady, but where is Milady? I mean, you talk about unstoppable. Milady is unstoppable, so... In any case, yeah, I don't think this makes much sense. Although Percival is a good unit, so it's hard to argue too much here. Next up, we have Deke. Let me make sure I'm not cutting it off. Wow, we're only at number 2, and there are already some people who are pissed off at me. That's fair. That's fair. At least he understands. And that makes sense. It's an extremely controversial to place an Ogma in S tier. I guess I never thought about the Deke sort of class being Ogma, but that makes sense. Especially above dancers. But give me a chance to explain it. Maybe I'll convince you. Actually, on second thought, probably not, because my opinions are non-negotiable and probably incorrect anyways, but I digress. Maybe this is a troll thing, actually. I don't know. This person put a lot of effort into this, so I'm not really sure. But in any case, call it biased, but I really like Deke. He's incredibly powerful, starting off at level 7 with base stats to rival Marcus. That is true to a certain extent. Growth rates that knock Marcus out of the ballpark. That is also true. Marcus's growth rates are terrible, but also being too mediocre to be above average, specifically in luck and resistance. Okay, but his growths are where it's all at, with growth rating from mediocre to amazing in every stat from resistance. Aside from resistance, sorry. Okay, now we're talking about growths, which, if you know anything about tier lists, are often a lot less important than bases. Although Deke does have good bases, to be fair. He's also a good candidate for the killing edge, as he has the weapon rank to wield it and the skill to get tons of crits. Skill doesn't really affect that much. The only really good thing about the killing edge is that you get extreme crit on sword masters. He's gonna get like, yeah, that also doesn't make any sense because he's not gonna have better skill than Rucker. He's even better than Rucker with it, as he has higher strength to do more damage and just barely enough speed to double most of what Rucker can. I guess this is where talking about normal mode does maybe differentiate units a little bit. But again, like, I don't even know that Deke is that much stronger than Rucker, if we're being honest. Rucker without hard mode bonuses is weaker. So this is one area where, again, hard mode bonuses do play a part in this. Deke's also, oh no, sorry, we just read that. Deke does have minor flaws, such as not keeping up with the difficulty spike mid-game. Mid-game? What? Isn't mid-game like the Isles? The Western Isles? That's where it gets way easier. What do you mean difficulty spike mid-game? I guess he's talking more like just out of the Isles? I guess there's a difficulty spike. And a slow XP gain. Does he gain experience slower? I actually didn't know that. By the time you get your first Hero's Crest, Deke should be ready to promote. And once that happens, have fun making the game a little bit easier. Have fun making the game a little bit easier. Did that convince you? No, I thought it might not. Oh well, because there's nothing that can be done. I'm adamant about Deke's capabilities. Is this a troll thing? If this is all just an elaborate troll, then I guess that's on me. But seriously, like, have fun making the game a little bit easier? Like, are you kidding me? I don't know. Maybe this is all a big troll. I don't know. Then we have the dancers. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not gonna read the dancers. Probably should be like third or something. I agree with that. Okay. From here on out, we have a lot to cover, so I'll try to keep it short and sweet. Of course, for some picks, I'll have to write an essay. Jesus Christ. So just a heads up. All right, we're going to start with Zealot, who should not be at the top of A. Zealot is the second, and in my opinion, better Marcus. That doesn't make any sense. And this guy is so powerful that I believe he could solo the game. This guy is so powerful, I believe he could solo the game? Is this guy on crack? When Marcus starts to fall off flat, Zealot is his natural replacement. That's not true. His natural replacement is Lance and Allen, not Zealot. His base stats are almost as good as Okay, again. Okay, all right. This is normal mode. His base stats are almost as good as Percival's. That's not true even on normal mode, but whatever. And while his growths are pretty trash, which they are, he will carry you throughout mid to late. What? Especially during mid-game, where units are arguably at their worst due to the difficulty spike during chapters 4 and 10. Wait, what? The mid-game is chapter 4 and 10? Especially during mid-game, where your units are arguably at their worst due to the difficulty spike during chapters 4 and 10. What? Also, would it surprise you if I said that I have never seen his death quote? What the fuck? Never in the year and a half I've been playing Fire Emblem 6 have I seen Zealot die. Well, he must be great, especially if you're playing on normal. That should put him in consideration how tanky and powerful Zealot is. I was contemplating putting him in S tier, Jesus Christ, until I realized that Percival completely outclasses him. What's a shame is that people don't seem to know about him, which is not what a good unit deserves. Hashtag Zealot for heroes. I guess he's not in heroes. Hold on, especially during the mid game, where your units are arguably at their worst due to the difficulty spike during chapters 4 and 10. Zealot is your lifeline. What? Zealot is recruited on chapter 7. What is this guy? Okay, either I'm crazy or this guy's crazy. What do you mean? Okay, number one, chapter 4 is insane. Although if you're not on hard mode, I don't know why it would be insane. But Zealot is not available on that chapter, so I have no clue what you're talking about. And then what is chapter 10 even? It's one of the Isles chapter. Why is that one of the... He skips chapter 7. Chapter 4 and chapter 10 are the most difficult chapters. This is just awful. Zealot's stats are way worse than Zealot's, even if he doesn't get hard mode bonuses. I have no idea what this guy's talking about. He mentions that his growths are trash, and yet he's dominant in the late game. This is wild. I mean, this is beyond wild. All of this about Zealot doesn't make any sense. I have no clue where this guy's coming from. Is this a troll post? I don't know. To be fair, Zealot is a good unit. He should probably be an A, maybe B. He is really solid. He's useful during the Isles. He's good. He's decent. But he can't solo the late game, even on normal. I don't know what this guy's smoking. Anyways, let's go down to Lou. Lou's awesome, so I think I probably just agree with this. People are going to hate me for this. But I believe that Lou is the best magic user in FE6. I mean, he is. And let me say that there are people vouching for Lena. But I'll talk for now. I shall compare the two units. What? And then explain why he's A tier? Lou and Lena start with similar bases, but Lou joins 5 chapters earlier. I mean, that's true. Lou starts off with a weapon. What? Oh no! This is a troll post. Lou starts off with a weapon. All you gotta do is go talk to Roy, and Lilina got a weapon too, buddy. What are you talking about? She doesn't start off with a weapon. This doesn't make any sense. And the fact that she doesn't start off with a weapon, even if she couldn't get one from Roy, should not make her weaker than Lou. That has nothing to do with how good she is as a character. It doesn't matter what weapons you start with. I guess his idea is that she can't be trained on that chapter, but here's a fucking brain thought. You could just bring fire onto the chapter and do that. Okay, there's going to be a little split here. So I think, hopefully this hasn't been too annoying. I think I'm blowing out the audio a little bit. I have myself turned up a bit, but I feel like I'm yelling a lot, so I just turned it down a little bit. But we're still talking about Lou. Hopefully I can't blow out the audio quite as much. Okay, Lilina, unlike Lou, has to be babied and fed kills to be halfway decent. It's not the issue. I mean, that's true. Lou is more conservative, meaning Lou has more defense and skill while sacrificing HP and magic. Okay, that's wrong. Lou does not have less HP than Lina. That's just inaccurate. He does have less magic. That is true. I'll be a more defensive unit while being effective and not being a kamikaze unit. That's just stupid. Also, this doesn't make any sense. Like, you're talking in generalities. If Lou had 1 more defense but 1 less HP, he would be less bulky, because an HP is essentially a defense and a resistance. So I don't even know what this person's talking about here. Also, Lou not only is more defensive, which he's correct about, but also has better HP. So I don't know what he's talking. This doesn't make any sense. Surprise, Constitution matters. Lou may... Okay, whatever. This is accurate. This is all accurate. It amazes me. This is why I don't think it might not be a troll post, because all of this is, like, true. He's recruited way earlier. He's easier to train. He's better. He's just a better unit. He's got better defense, not, and better HP. I don't know why he says that, but yeah, I don't know. This is just all accurate. Oh, and then a meme. Most people reject his message. Lou's better than Lena. Why is it May? Hated Big Spider because he... Okay, I don't understand this meme. Or did I say May? I meant Mia. I think this is Mia. I don't know. We're gonna move on. I don't understand that meme. Oh my god, this keeps going. All right, I'm just gonna skip this. He's right. Lou's better than Lena. I don't know what else to say here. Like, it's also weird to be like, Lou belongs here, but I'm just gonna talk about Lilina a whole bunch. Like, I don't know, but whatever. Next we have Noah. Way too high. Noah shouldn't be in. Yeah, I don't know. Noah's a fine unit. Okay, honestly, Noah and Clarion are probably interchangeable. What? Noah's easy to explain. He's the best Cavalier. He's the best Cavalier! Being able to double easily, do massive damage, have good rescue potential, as opposed to everyone else, the other Cavaliers. A high base level, so promotion is a hop, skip, and a jump away. Also having growths that eventually get him to rival Zealot. Eventually! Zealot's stats aren't that high! Is this guy playing a mod where Zealot's stats are, like, insanely high? I don't understand. Especially combat-wise. Makes him great. The only issue is that he stops doubling after a while. Oh my god. That's the only issue. You know when you don't have that issue? If you just use Lancer Allen, the better Cavaliers. But with some lighter weapons, he's not getting way down. That's not the problem. If you guys want, I'll make a post debating the Cavaliers in the future. But for now, I've made my point clear. No, don't make a post debating the Cavaliers. I don't understand this. He's recruited like 6 levels later, 6 chapters later, I should say, than Lancer Allen. They're way better. They have way better growths. Their bases are only slightly behind his, and they're recruited, again, like 7 chapters earlier. I have no idea why you would think that Noah is the best Cavalier. That doesn't make any sense. His growths aren't nearly as good as them. On the one hand, he likes growths. On the other hand, he doesn't. I don't know. This gets complicated, I guess. Okay, Clarine. I also don't understand why Clarine and Noah be interchangeable. They serve such different purposes. Like, I guess that's why they're interchangeable. I don't know. Clarine is probably the best staff bot in the game. I mean, sure. Being mounted while having good availability, time to grow, nice magic stat. Her magic stat kind of sucks, but of course, even after promotion or combat is less than desirable. Yeah. Really wants to get Saul. There are no staff bots that you reliably use solely for staff utility until the end of the game. Look at you, Cecilia. The end of the game? Does this guy think that the game ends on chapter like 12? What do you mean the end of the game? You recruit Cecilia in the middle of the game. What is this guy talking about? And Clarion eventually will even... Wait, what? And Clarion will even then likely be better at it than the Etrurian general. I mean, that's true. She's going to be better in the end. But, like, the game doesn't end the chapter after Arcadia. Like, what is he talking about? I'm sorry to say it, but the snobby and unlikable Clarion, okay, whatever, is better. See, this kind of stuff when he talks about, like the waifuable Cecilia is, like, maybe this is a troll post, but he puts so much effort into it. Okay, then we have Yodel. Yodel is basically late game Clarion, but not mounted. He's great magic. Yodel's good. Yodel's really good. Yeah, that's accurate. Then Nime, who's definitely better than Yodel. But whatever. I mean, wait, since dark magic is overall outclassed by light magic, what? Dark magic has Nosferatu. What do you mean outclassed by light magic? This doesn't make any sense. Depending on if you like light or dark magic. All right, at least he admitted. Like, yeah, all right. Nime's better, but whatever. Okay, then we have Lance. Okay, we're gonna finally find out why he has Lance and Alan so different on the tier list. First, I need to talk about Alan versus Lance. In order for everyone to understand why Lance is here, I should do A period? Oh, I should do A, get the debate out of the way and off the bat, and B, explain why Lance is this high. Okay, good. I'll explain the reason why Cavaliers are good first. Oh my god. No, we don't need to hear that. Jesus Christ. You've already talked about a Cavalier. They're considered halberds, whatever. When do you talk about what's more? Oh my god. Meaning they won't typically one round you unless your name is Alan. What? Speaking of Alan, can you still see? Okay, we're down here. Speaking of Alan, you see my cursor, right? Okay, perfect. It's time for the Lance versus Alan debate. Okay. I'll be both the God's advocate and oh my god, this guy, by the way, this guy, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, you're a jackass. This is like horrible to read. Seeing which one is objectively better. All right, just like, unless there's a troll post, in which case fuck me, I guess. Just like Lena versus Lou, I'll list the things that'll be debated about viability, and we'll see once and for all why Lance is better than Alan, at least in normal mode. Again, that shouldn't matter, and why that would matter. Let us begin. Number 1, doubling potential and power. In Fire Emblem 6 is generally recognized the 2 most important stats are speed and power. Power isn't a stat! What do you mean speed and power? That doesn't make any sense. Also, if you're considering movement a stat, that's the most important one. I guess speed and strength would maybe be the most important. I love power. That's great. Speed and power. With skill being a close third! What? I mean, okay, to be fair, skill is more important in FE6 than it is in other games, but you have HP, defense, resistance, all these beautiful stats you can talk about, and skill is the 3rd most important stat. Alright, whatever. Of course, there's movement! He mentions movement! What do you mean? Which is good and all, but in damage, but in battle, strength and speed are important. What do you mean? It's widely recognized that speed and power, which isn't a stat, are better than movement? Are you on fucking crack? What are you talking about? Now let's see who has more of each. Oh god, this is just already a faulty premise. Alan at base can do 11 damage to an enemy fighter in chapter 1. Lance can do 9. Okay. So it appears Alan's more powerful, right? But we're forgetting speed, because Lance can do what Alan can't, double. Lance in the end does 18 damage when Alan does 11. Neither of these are enough to kill, though, so it may not seem to matter, but Walter Roy can get those valuable kills. Oh, no, honey. They can't. Kills from Lance's chip damage, where they can't from Allen's. As you can see, Lance and Allen are mostly for chip damage at first instead of one rounding, because basically Allen can't do damage in a vacuum. Okay, alright. This is fucking stupid. So, number one, the idea that Lance doubles more like sooner than Allen is actually a legitimate point. Now, he's playing on normal, so Lance can obviously double immediately, but you're also playing on normal, so Allen's going to be able to double very quickly and consistently for the entire game. But I will say, I do sort of prefer Lance, not in the sense that I would have them in different tiers, but I do sort of prefer Lance because I like getting to double more quickly. So that part at least has some basis in sort of fact. But talking about only what they could do at the very beginning of the game on Chapter 1 is stupid. Okay, now we're looking at the growths. Yeah, these are their growths. Okay. To be fair, Allen does have a marginal overall better growth over Lance for 5%. That doesn't really matter. And the two stats that really matter in this game, strength and speed. Oh, now it's strength. It was power before, but now it's strength. Allen has an advantage in strength, and Lance had one in speed. Yeah, you're talking about 5%. That's like one over the course of 10 levels or 20 levels, or I don't know. A lot of levels. But again, there's only a 5% difference. Okay, which is hardly noticeable. Okay, that's true. So basically, differences in growth matter much less than differences in bases. So basically, at base, Allen cannot double, but Lance can. That is what separates the two Cavaliers. So what separates the two Cavaliers is that for one chapter, when they're both level 1, one can double and one can't. That's why one belongs in the middle of A and the one belongs in the middle of B. I mean, this guy's a nut. Really, I believe, okay. Really, I believe that about wraps it up. As I said earlier, no outclasses Lance anyways. That I cannot imagine. I guess if you're going into it with this bizarre outlook where Lance is only useful for chipping for Walt and Roy, I guess he's weaker than Noah. But if your Lance is weaker by the time you're recruiting Noah, you've done something wrong. I mean, he should be dead. Like, Lance beats out Noah due to his speed. But Noah is the Goldilocks of the three, being able to do damage while also doubling against many enemies Allen cannot. That doesn't make any sense. You just mentioned that in the end, the speed growth is so negligible that they'll have like the same amount of speed. And like, whatever. This is just stupid. Obviously, this is stupid. I hope this is pretty obvious why this doesn't make any sense. Like, you're going off of the bases of a level 1 unit you get on Chapter 1. Don't get me wrong, you should go more off bases than growths. That is the correct way to evaluate units. But Lance and Allen are not good because of their bases. Like, they're recruited on Chapter 1. You can talk about their growths a little bit. It's okay. And he doesn't show, by the way, he doesn't show anyone else's growths. These growths are insane. I don't know exactly what Noah's growths look like, and I'm not going to bother looking it up, but they're worse than this. They're a lot worse than this. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they're a lot worse than this. Okay, the stall, store, whatever. It's the best thief in Fire Emblem 6. That's true. Of course, we'll talk about whatever. Thieves are kind of dumb. Saul can hold his weight in combat. Yeah, that's true. I mean, the Saul's good. You can put thieves wherever you want. I think this is reasonable. I don't care. Klein. Okay, this is good. Klein. I'm certain there'll be numerous complaints about placement of Klein, and trust me, I can understand how he falls off in the long run, but when people say he's only good in hard mode, they're wrong. To be fair, Klein, bows are better in Fire Emblem 6 than they are in the other GBA games, and Klein gets hard mode bonuses, so he's actually a pretty decent unit. Shouldn't be this high, but a pretty decent unit. Klein has good enough bases to be good. See, this is also bizarre, because he's mentioning here, Klein doesn't get hard mode bonuses. Or, sorry, Klein gets hard mode bonuses, which means if we're talking about normal, he should be a lot worse, because he doesn't get those hard mode bonuses, so... and the fact that he comes with Silver Bow is great, that's true. But to add to that, Ailster's weapon rank is amazing, which is also true. The ultimate Brave Bow, whatever. Simple fact that using Brave Bow is enough for him to be good. I don't know that really makes sense, but okay. I think a green can use it too, because I believe you only need B for that, and I think she's B, but whatever. He has nice growth for a pre-promote. Is that true? I think all the growths in this game are really ass. I don't really think that's true. Now there will be some agreement for Shin, a green, or even Sue to be above him, which they should be. They should all be, except Sue. Those arguments are often rely on movement. And while it certainly matters, is hardly any more than Klein has. And while it certainly matters, is it hardly any more than Klein has. Really, because Shin and Su have 2 more movement, so that's a little bit more. But apparently movement is not the most important stat in this game, so who the fuck am I to talk? And on certain maps, having 1 less movement will be an issue. 2 less movement once you're promoted, but whatever. But most of the time it's laughable. This is not true. It's never laughable. For an LTLC run, yes, the nomads are certainly much better, but Klein has stats. But this doesn't make any sense. Okay, this is sort of like faulty logic. It doesn't add up. People think that stuff like movement or completing chapters quickly only matters in LTLCs. But he mentioned earlier that he's also not waiting until turn 99 and grinding supports. So clearly he understands that there's some middle ground that can be found, and that's what we should be evaluating. So the idea of movement is extremely important. Apparently he's not waiting until turn 50, when Klein finally waddles over to the boss. So, like, this is faulty logic. Movement is extremely important. And even if you're not talking about finishing chapters extremely quickly, the fact that Shin can go do a side objective and then come back to your team, or the fact that he can be way over here and then still get in range of helping out, like your Lord, or rescue dropping, for example, that he doesn't mention here. There's so many useful things for movement. It is the most important stat. It just is. It's the most useful stat, whether you're LTLCing or not. So this logic, I hear this every once in a while, that movement doesn't matter unless you're LTLCing, and that's just not true. Movement's amazing no matter what you're doing. Barring some chapters, if you're the Dawn Brigade, your movement doesn't matter, What else? That should be enough to prove my point. I'll say that I enjoy using Shin more than Klein, but I have to admit that Klein is better than Shin. This is not true. To be fair, Shin does get hard mode bonuses, so if we're just talking about normal mode, that's another unit that will get hurt a little bit, but still... Klein's a fine unit, but he also doesn't get hard mode bonuses. So, Shin is so much better than Klein. He really is. Okay, this is fucking insane. Next up, we have Echidna, who, number 1, shouldn't be better than Bartry in the first place, and number 2, shouldn't be this high. By the way, we're only like halfway through this. Hold on, I need a water break. How long has this been? We've been 15 minutes. Okay, that's not so bad. We're getting through it. We're getting through it, boys. We'll get through it. We got this. We got this. Hopefully this isn't too no, this is 15 minutes for this part, which means it's longer than this. Whatever. We'll get through it. If you stuck around this long, by the way, I love you. You're great. Okay. Echidna is the main reason I go A route. I love using mercenaries for their sheer prowess, which is also evident in my ranking of Deke and debatably OJ, but her power is not to be understated. Their sheer prowess. Again, we're talking in like generalities. Her prowess is not like a definable stat. Well, she's certainly worse than Deke. She does have some good stats. He's right. She does have some good stats, and she's worse than Deke. For example, her strength is amazing. No, it's like 13 or something. Her strength is not amazing. But her HP is certainly worrying. Isn't her HP like 40? Or like 35 at least? Her HP is not that bad, actually. But also having a reliable axe user is certainly something to be desired. This is total bullshit. She's not a reliable axe user. He's going to mention later, by the way, we looked at this tier list a little bit, that axes are all terrible in this game because they have terrible hit. Which is true. Now, Echidna does have pretty good skill, but her constitution is so low that she gets weighed down by all axes. So she's actually really bad at using axes, if we're being honest. It's another reason why I enjoy using Echidna, as I want to use a user that has great damage output without worrying about the axe's main flaws, say a 35% hit rate, which comes from a normal axe user. This has some validity. Echidna's skill is actually pretty good. It's better than a lot of the axe users, but axes still have really bad hit. She's valuable throughout the whole game. To be fair, I was just doing chapter 21 on hard mode, and with a Wormslayer, she was actually kind of doing okay. So maybe I'm a little low on Echidna. Though she'll become relatively weaker as time goes on, unfortunately. This is true. She's worthy of investment, and I suggest go A route unless you want to meme around or really like Elfin. Okay, so Bartry's better than her because he just has like way better HP and way better strength. Her speed is pretty good, I will admit that. He doesn't mention growths here. Her growths are terrible. She's not going to grow into anything. He mentions her HP, which is mediocre, but her defense and her resistance are also terrible. She has like a 15% defense growth. That's awful. You can't use Echidna throughout the game. Offensively, she is okay, but yeah, no, Echidna is not that good of a unit. She is decent. I don't want to shit on her too much because she's a pretty good unit, but I don't know why she's this high. That's insane. Ahead of, by the way, the next unit, Milady. As much as I dislike Wyvern Riders in the GBA games, a popular opinion, but that's not an opinion. Like, you could dislike them, but they're still insane. Like, I don't understand. I have to admit that Melody has some good usage. In hard mode, she's hands down one of the best units in the game. In normal mode, she's a subpar substitute at best. For, like, what? That doesn't matter. Her growth, he's not going to show growth here, absolutely insane. It doesn't matter about the hard mode bonuses. Like, she's so insane. So why is she this high to appease the people? Whatever. Though her combat is really bad with low skill and speed. What? What do you mean? Hold on. The reason that Melody's in the bottom of low A tier, she's only good as a rescue dropper. If I could have my way, she'd be even worse. But anyone here would cost what? Okay, this is absolute bullshit. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Like, don't get me wrong, she does not get hard mode bonuses. I could see Melody being slightly worse in normal mode, because again, without hard mode bonuses, she gets a lot worse, whereas the enemies also get a lot worse, but other units are better. I understand that, right? And I respect that. Hard mode bonuses in FE6 in particular are really, really insane, but she is a Wyvern Rider with really good growth. There's no way she should be this low. This doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, this is stupid. Although, to be fair, again, if we're not talking about hard mode, if we're explicitly talking about normal mode, the only thing that should change is hard mode bonuses, so there is some merit to this at the very least. Okay, this one, however, there is no merit to, and that's Marcus. I'll say this. Marcus is required to beat the early game. On normal, he's not. This is just not accurate. On hard mode, almost yes. On normal, this is just not accurate, so I don't know what this is. There it is. I said it. Jokes aside, Marcus your lifetime, early game, whatever, just like in FE7. The game is the most frustrating part of the game. That is true. That's why so many people get put off by it. But again, we're playing normal, so it's whatever. There's plenty of experience to go around, so what if a Jagan gets a kill? What do you mean, what if the Jagan gets a kill? The reason he's this low A tier is because he falls off in the mid game and hard, which is true, although he's really not that much worse than Zealot. So hard, in fact, that he becomes basically unusable at that point. I mean, this is true, especially, okay, but this doesn't matter. Marcus is an old man. That is also true. That's it. The only reason that Marcus is bad is the age-long, stupid, like, approach of Jagans, which is, even though the Jagan can absolutely solo a third of the entire game, he's not very good because he's not very good in the mid-game, and what if he gets a kill from your other units? And by the way, who gives a shit if he gets a kill from your other units? You're training Walt and Roy and not the good units like Lance or Allen. Like, he doesn't like growth units. He doesn't like base stat units. Also, by the way, Marcus is not that much worse than Zealot, and their growths are, like, identical. So I have no idea why you would like Zealot that much more than Marcus. This is super bizarre. He admits here that Marcus is basically required to beat the early game, which, again, isn't true if you're not playing hard mode. But even if it was, why would he not be better in a tier list? I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Feels bad to have my boy down here. All right, next up we have Rucker. Even though I showed a small group of 3 people on my list, they immediately pointed out that this was wrong. One of them even saying that they'd make fun of my list. I'm to roast you for your list. All right, whatever. Whatever. But anyways, I'll do Rucker's B and a ton. Do Rucker B and B. But again, we're talking about no hard mode bonuses. So, I mean, Rucker being a B, he should still be higher, but this isn't that unreasonable. Another thing is that Rucker without a killing edge is a middling mediocre unit. Doesn't he have like base 10 strength or something? And by the way, he mentioned earlier that the most important thing is speed, and his speed is insane, so I don't know why that would be the case. Unit like Zealot, Noah, Deke, or even Marcus could benefit from it more than Rucker can. This is stupid. Okay, I don't know if this person's aware of this, but Swordmasters get like 30 base crit when they promote, which means with a killing edge and his high skill, we're talking about like 60 crit anytime you want it. Nobody uses the killing edge better than Rucker, unless you're talking about Ferd, maybe. So this is just stupid. Killing weapons are the best type of weapons, arguably, in Fire Emblem 6. So these other units can use them well, but you're talking about like 30 crit as opposed to 60 crit. That doesn't make any sense. I've already explained why giving Deke the killing edge is better than Rucker hoarding it. Yeah, and it was wrong then, and it's wrong now. And remember, hoarding is a pitfall. What? What is a pitfall? Okay, this I don't understand. I don't know what hoarding is a pitfall means. Also, hoarding doesn't... What do you... This doesn't make any sense. Rucker hoarding it? Why would using it with Rucker be any different than using it with Deke? Unless you're talking about the fact that you have to wait, or you should wait until you're promoted before using it. But, like, okay, this doesn't make any sense, and I don't understand how hoarding is a pitfall. I don't know. The only thing about Rucker that's good is his high skill and speed. Not else, which I guess is true. He's basically a thief that can do a bit more damage with higher crit chance while also being robbed of thief utility, whatever. Okay, this does have some merit, again, because he is removed of hard mode bonuses. So while a character like Deke gets no weaker, and yet the enemies do, Rucker actually does get quite a bit weaker, where the enemies don't. So this does have some merit at the very least. He should still be higher. Seriously, like, it doesn't matter if you're playing an easy, normal, hard, whatever. The fact that Rucker promoted hits hard and gets like 60 crit against all the bosses in the mid game is enough to make him A or S tier. It just is. I think this is pretty wrong. Rucker's overrated. He's not. He may be overrated. So here's the thing. Rucker is not overrated because nobody talks about Fire Emblem 6 only in the context of normal mode. By the way, this entire like list is like kind of flawed because I don't know why you talk about just normal mode, but whatever. That's the assumption that we're going on. This is still not true. Rucker is still amazing. And again, but remember there are 2 killing edges. He keeps talking about killing edges. Like, I don't know, but it's not recommended. Yeah, I don't know. To be fair, he's mentioning he's similar to Guy from Fire Emblem 7. Rucker's stats are extremely similar to Guy and Joshua, right? They're almost the exact same unit, down to their hard mode bonuses. The reasons that Rucker is good in Fire Emblem 6 are Fire Emblem 6 specific reasons, and those reasons remain for normal mode. Maybe a little bit less so. Maybe you don't need as much speed because enemies aren't as fast. But enemy stats, even in normal mode, are still pretty high. So his high speed, his high hit, the ability to crit, the ability to consistently kill bosses is something that even your favorite Deke will still struggle with, even on easy mode. That's why he's better than characters like Guy and Joshua. But again, to be fair, this is not with hard mode bonuses, so there is at least something to be said here. Okay, next up, Cecilia. Many people are probably typing in the comments, oh, Cecilia's really bad combat, and I agree. No, that's not what I would say. So why is she this high? Because I love the staff utility. This guy understands, like, this guy, again, here he's understanding that, like, both staff utility, and he mentions here, you need a spare mounted healer. So he understands that being mounted is good, and yet he mentions earlier that movement doesn't matter. This doesn't make her amazing. Remember, this is B tier we're talking about, but I feel Cecilia's giving more crap than she deserves. To be fair, one of the reasons that I like to look at these tier lists because I don't really know how people feel. Do people give Cecilia a lot of shit? I don't know. Cecilia's awesome. She should probably be an A if we're being honest, but whatever. Next up we have Saul. Whatever, I'm not even gonna read this. Saul's good. Oh, actually, no, I remember, because Ellen is really low on this list. We should read this. Saul's basically nothing more than a spare staff bot for if you need him. He's better than Ellen in every way. That is true. He's recruited later. But he is outshined by Clary in every single way. This is not true. He's not outshined by Clary in every single way. This, hold on. I need to turn on my light. This is getting really dark in here. This is, doesn't make any sense. He's not outshined by Clary in every single way. In fact, his stats basically across the board are better than Clarion's. The only thing that Clarion outshines him in is movement, which we've already decided is useless, at least according to this guy. So this is bullshit reasoning. His magic is better than Clarion. He's bulkier than Clarion. Maybe she's faster than him, but Saul's really fast, so I don't even know if that's true. So this is incorrect. The only map where it shines Clarion is in Arcadia, which is actually accurate. The issue with that is that if you do want Saul to be valuable in the map, you need to use him over Clarion. This is not true. You can have base level Saul still offering you healing utility on Arcadia. I don't know why trading him is like necessary. Everyone's magic growth really isn't that high unless you've promoted Clarion by that point, which I guess you could, but that doesn't mean that Saul's bad. He's still an effective staff bot that's useful only in a pinch. However, is limited to 5 movement. But now we're talking about how movement is useful, meaning you'll never fall behind your cavaliers that are rushing ahead. All right. I mean, is this guy trolling? Like, On the one hand, Klein's movement doesn't matter at all, because movement is useless. On the other hand, Saul has a problem with movement, he'll fall behind your Cavaliers. But Klein won't fall behind your Cavaliers, because you boots him? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I hope you see, like, the fault in this logic. It's just all over the place. You can't, on the one hand, mention that, like, movement doesn't really matter, and then on the other hand, talk about how this guy's bad, because he doesn't have the movement of Cavaliers. That doesn't make any sense. Saul's rather bulky, luckily, so if he's attacked, he doesn't die, just period, end of story. He's bulky enough to where he just doesn't die, like Ellen does. That's a positive. See, again, now he's talking about Ellen, but he's also more bulky than Clarine, who you just mentioned. Clarine's better than in every way. Whatever, I'm done with this, at least this part. Saul's great, don't get me wrong, but all this reasoning is incorrect. I don't really know who's better between him and Clarine, if I'm being honest. They're certainly better than Ellen. But yeah, I'm not really sure. Green is a sniper, which itself isn't that great, true, but the weapon she comes with makes up for that. No, now we're like factoring in the weapons that people come with. I know you mentioned this earlier with Alina not coming with a weapon. That should not be factored in at all. It doesn't matter that this person comes with the S, it doesn't matter that Yodel comes with the S staff and the S lance. That doesn't matter. The fact that he can use them is nice, but that doesn't make any sense. No, unlike others such as Leonardo, the walking Draco shield, or ace at being a wall. So Leonardo is the archer from Radiant Dawn. Ace is a character this guy made up? I don't know. Who comes with free silver lances for Marcus. A green isn't just good for her weapon. Wait, what? Or the ace at being a wall. Comes with free silver lances. Now, unlike others such as Leonardo, the Draco shield, or the ace at being a wall. Now, unlike others such as Leonardo, the walking Draco shield, or the ace at being a wall, who comes with free silver lances for Marcus, a green just isn't good for her weapon. Okay, I don't understand. I think I've just blown my brain. I don't know what he's saying. Is Leonardo an ace at being a wall? I don't understand. I don't know. However, similar to Rucker, take away her weapon, she is considerably deteriorates. Wow, you don't see deteriorates written out a lot. I'm not a smart man. At that point, she will end up being Klein, but worse. This is not true, by the way. This is just inaccurate. A green stats are all higher than Klein, unless you, for some reason, trained Klein at this point. Like, but his growths aren't good. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Which one is personal preference, honestly? Okay, but if they're both personal preference, why is a green this much lower than Klein? Also, to be fair, a green, and he didn't mention this, does come with B bows and not A, which is kind of a big deal. Because you shouldn't use either of them, but they are both fairly useful. Sorry, you shouldn't train either of them. But they are both fairly useful. And the fact that Klein can use a silver bow in the end game and a green can't, unless you've given her that that weapon rank, is actually kind of a big deal. But a green is just better. And I know this for a fact, because even if Klein comes with hardman bonuses, a green is still stronger. And he's not getting Klein with hardman bonuses. So, yeah, she's better. I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah, I don't know. Like, Klein does come earlier, so I guess you could still say that he's better. I don't know. This is a horse apiece, but I don't know why they're so far apart. Okay, now we have Fur. Here comes a controversial claim. Yes, Fur's base stats are terrible, and yes, she's very frail. But there's something that can be done to make her perhaps the strongest unit on your team. Remember when I said about playing optimally? Basically, that means no support grinding. And I may be pushing the boundaries here, but we can EXP grind for Fur on her join map. You remember Chapter 9, the Fog of War map with pirates? Take advantage. This is stupid. This is, yeah. Okay, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense on any level. Number one, Fur doesn't come with hardman bonuses. So if Rucker loses a ton of his standing because no hardman bonuses, Fur should be in like F tier or something, right? This doesn't make any sense. Number two, you can't say that if you give her all the experience possible on her joining map, and you'd probably need some more, get her to level 20, then promote her, she'll be really strong. Because you could just do that with Rucker. And I know he's still saying that Rucker is better than Fur, but this, like, you could do this with any character. And this is why I don't understand his, like, the thing he talked about at the beginning. Lance, Alan, there are characters under Fur that will also be extremely strong if you give them every single kill on their joining chapter. Fur in a normal mode specific tier list should be like bottom of the bottom. Without hard mode bonuses, her base stats are terrible. This guy's right. And the fact that you can get her very easily to level 20 very quickly is just it's just wrong, right? And Swordmaster, despite Rucker being really good, is never that good of a class. So you know what you could do on that chapter? You could just run around and kill things with Lance or Alan or Noah, this guy's favorite Noah, or Zealot. And again, like, he's talking about pushing the boundaries of playing optimally, but again, this is like, you can't on the one hand be like, we're playing like, we're not like 99 turn support grinding, but on the other hand, I'm gonna sit there for 99 turns and have Fur slowly kill every unit on a chapter. This is stupid. And the thing is, without hard mode bonuses, even when she's promoted, she's just a way weaker Rucker at this stage in the game. So yeah, no, this doesn't make any sense. I understand that this guy has Rucker higher than Fur, but if you're going to knock Rucker for all these reasons, you have to do the same with Fur. And because her recruitment time and base stats are way worse, she's got to be like in C, D tier, something like that. This doesn't make any sense. Oh, sorry, there's more here actually. Of course, the strategy is controversial because it's essentially a form of grinding, but if you wanted, you can kill a few reinforcements in the next map to feed more experience. You can still make her a Swordmaster, just not as good. She's going to be so weak. So weak. Summarize first experience acceleration as well as reinforcements in the first couple maps. So there is something to be said by the fact that she gets weapon triangle over like every unit on the Isles maps, right? The first couple of chapters that you do. And it is pretty easy to train her. But again, we're not talking about hard mode bonuses. So she's so weak. Okay, next up we have Shin. As explained in my explanation of Klein, Shin is outclassed combat-wise by him, which is just not true, especially since Shin has about 2 chapters to grow, and there's not enough for him to get on Klein's level. But we talked about earlier, like growth. This guy clearly values growth, at least to a certain extent. He's going to be so much stronger in the endgame. Has his movement and dodge? Shin has his movement and dodge to help him? But Klein just completely outclasses him. Wait, hold on a minute. If Klein has better dodge than, if Shin has better dodge than Klein, that means that either his luck or, more importantly, his speed is better. So why does Klein outclass him in every way if his speed is better? There's so many flaws in these logics. Yeah, Alan shouldn't be here. Yeah, this is stupid. We'll move on. Hugh, on second thought, Hugh's not good enough to be in this part, but I have to explain what? Hugh costs gold to recruit. As anyone who's played this far into a friendly section know, paying 5,000 gold, he'd be completely outclassed. If you pay 10,000 gold, he'd be passable. That's why I'm looking at him here. If you pay that sum, he'll be second Lou. I suppose that's true, especially if you go to the trouble of promoting him. Well, you have to go through the trouble of promoting him, otherwise he's not second Lou. However, he's not good enough to keep up, especially since his growths are bad. His growths aren't bad. He has decent growths. What are you talking about? So inevitably end up being replaced by his grandmother Nime. I mean, Nime is better, yes. This is a job. I don't know. Hugh sucks. I don't really know if you should factor in the whole money thing. And I believe he gets hard mode bonuses, so he is worse. He mentions that Hugh should be lower. I agree. I don't know. This part's reasonable. Next up, we have Juno. Pegasus Knights in this game are not particularly great. Mostly being used for rescue dropping, which, if you play your cards right, you won't need to be doing in the first place. It's just okay, but it's still utility you have access to. Perhaps if you do a particularly risky play or you get unlucky, you'll need to do that. But Juno is more combat oriented. She's pretty good at it to boot. Oh my god, Juno! It's not hard mode bonuses. Juno's combat is pitiful. Her base stats are atrocious. She has extremely low. Hold on a minute. Look at this. Look at this. These are her base stats. 33 health. We talked about how Echidna has low health. She has like 35 base. 11 strength. 16 speed. I mean, I guess if this guy thinks that Zealot is good in the late game, then 16 speed is enough. 8 defense. Also, by the way, she has all the same constitution issues that all the other Pegasus Knights have. So this 16 isn't really accurate. 8 defense. She has 8 defense and 33 health. This is a good combat unit. By the way, let's go back. By the way, this unit right here, who we haven't seen yet. We have not seen Dion. So this person thinks that Dion is worse than Juno. Has 43 health. That's 10 more health, 4 more strength, 4 more speed, 2 more defense, the same resistance. He's better in every way. And he just mentioned that he doesn't value Pegasus as a class that much. So clearly he doesn't care that much. Like, Dion is, I guess, in general, a worse class, but Nomad Trooper is an amazing class too. So this is just insane that he talks about Juno is pretty good at combat. I mean, that's just horrible. You can promote both other, by the way, we're about to get to another, we're about to get to Thani. You can promote both other Pegasus Knights at level 10, and they would have better combat than her. If for some super reason you need someone who can use S-rank swords, you use your girl being able to wield silver sword at base, that is pretty nice. I will give her that. Whatever. But this is stupid. Her combat is absolutely terrible. Yeah, I don't understand this at all. Okay, Thani or Shanna. Okay, so to be fair, Juno does have 2 better constitution than Thani, even when she's promoted, which is kind of a big deal. But we're talking about the difference between Juno having 16 speed and Thani, by the time she's recruited, if you train her, having like capped speed. So the fact that her constitution is slightly lower doesn't matter at that stage. It does matter earlier, but her base speed is really high. So this is just dumb. Let me just try to everybody, even Gonzales. She also joins incredibly early. It's true. I mean, sure, more valuable asset in the early game, which is particularly difficult for this game. Wait. She's a valuable asset for the early game, which is... Oh, yeah, the early game is particularly difficult, yes. However, her combat is awful. Smarter combat is likely enough to kill her. Not on normal mode. I don't understand how that's possible. Unless you're talking about, like, way later. I mean, she is pretty frail, but, I mean, I guess there are probably some steel axe, like, fighters. But, like, I don't know. You can give her some levels. If you slow down and think your moves through, you're unlikely to ever need her. This idea of, like, needing people is so dumb. Like, if you wanted to, you could just turtle through every map with whatever the hell characters you want, and then you don't need anybody. I mean, this is bad reasoning. I don't like Thani that much, if I'm being honest, but she's a hell of a lot better than Juno. Okay. Every unit from here on out is subpar. Wait, every unit from here on out in subpar and are likely outclassed by another similar unit. This doesn't mean they can't be used, just that they aren't the best option, especially this is another like flaw in thinking. This idea that, like, you mentioned this earlier, that Milady is better than Zeus, so Zeus is useless. It's just dumb, because you can just train both, and they're both awesome. So I don't know. Tate. As much as I love Tate, she's my waifu. Jesus Christ. I have to admit that her in-game usage is very limited. She's basically the middle ground between Thani and Juno. To be fair, Tate does get hard mode bonuses, so she's also going to be a bit worse in this. Being both decent at combat and rescuing. Stats are really bad. There's similar to Fords and Sacred Stones. They fool you into thinking they're good, but in practice they missed a mark. What the hell? Tate is much better in hard mode. That's not really true. She gets plenty of bonuses to make up for that. But, like, it's hard to say that she's, like, better in hard mode because the enemies are also more difficult. So I don't really see why that would be the case. There's a ton of babysitting. All right, whatever. I don't like Tate that much. I don't think she's that good. And she doesn't get hard mode bonuses, so I think that's fairly reasonable. She still should be higher than Juno. That's insane, but whatever. Zeus, whatever. Yes, Zeus has subpar stats and a D rank in lances, but he has utility. Whatever. Zeus is another one that doesn't get hard mode bonuses, so he should probably be lower. I think this is reasonable. Dion. All right, here's Dion. Dion is very useful for newer players. What? As his mountain has good bases. I mean, why is that selective to newer players? Oh, this unit's pretty good for newer players because he's amazing. But for us experienced players, we like the shitters. So, but where the positives end, you should have trained up Klein, a Green, even Shin. What? And their stats at that time will certainly beat out Dion's. Oh my god, this reasoning just never makes any sense. Number one, I don't know how long it takes for Klein to be as good as Dion, but I have to imagine he has to be a really, really high level to get to that point. And number two, just because okay, back to number one, like, Klein and a Green are both much worse classes, so even if they were slightly better statistically, that wouldn't even make them a better unit. And number two, just because Dion is worse than some of the units you've been training for 20 plus chapters does not make him a bad unit. Even if they don't, Dyne does not have good enough growth to sustain them. Oh my god, we're talking about a level like 10 promoted unit at like the end game. What the fuck do growths matter? And by the way, we just talked about Juno, who has way worse stats, didn't mention growths there at all. Also, he doesn't have good enough weapon ranks to be useful in the end game either. I don't know what his weapons ranks are. I don't care. This is stupid. Sue, you have a very controversial case that has arguments continuing about your place to this day. What? I'm here to dispel those arguments because the answer is very simple. Sue is trash. I mean, she is. She's not very good. You Sue fanboys are probably saying that I have some bias, which is untrue, by the way. I've tried to use Sue before, but it doesn't work out in order to prove it. I have to make a comparison to a similarly bad unit, which is coming up. Remember back when I talked about... Oh, God. This is going to be bullshit. Remember when I talked about Lou and I said that Lilina missed out a chapter because she didn't come with a weapon? Well, that's true for Sue. Technically true. Also, she's recruited at the end of the chapter. That's much more relevant because you could just give her a bow. But unlike Lou, who has 6 chapters to grow to become better than Lina, Sue has 3 to beat out Shin. It's not enough, even with accelerated XP gain. I don't know why he keeps mentioning accelerated XP gain. Shin has much better bases and comes with a weapon. It's so stupid. I don't know why he keeps mentioning this. She's completely outclassed, especially since she starts out depressingly underleveled. Sorry, Sue fanboys, but you can't run from the truth. This is mostly accurate. Again, it does not matter that she doesn't come with a weapon. But yeah, she's worse than Shin. I think Sue is a reasonable unit, just because I think Nomad Troopers are quite good in the game. But I think this is at least fairly reasonable. Sue is not a very good unit. Alright, Bartry. Bartry's a weird case. He starts out as level 2 pre-promote. That's not a Jagan. Is that a weird case? There's a lot of units that come as that. And his growths are far better than a Jagan's. But the issue is that he has EXP gain of a Jagan and the fall-off speed of a Jagan. Did I mention these axe and bow locked? The 2 worst weapons in this game. I suppose that's true. Bows are pretty good. I don't know, but this is reasonable. I actually think the mixture of bows and axes is quite good, but whatever. Also, he never hits. You just mentioned he uses bows. Just like FE7, Bartry, a secret book can reverse this. No, it can't. What are you talking about? A secret book gives, what, 1 hit or something? Like, what? But FE7 Bartry is better because he can easily grow. Oh, God! Oh, God, this guy just mentioned that FE7 Bartry is awesome. Oh, honey. This Bartry cannot do this. FE7 Bartry has 3... Wait, no, I'm missing that finger. 3! Can you see that? 3 base speed. What is this guy talking about? He'd be very good with the Brave Axe you get from Geese, however, but this is really his only saving grace. Again, this is why A-Rod is superior. No. There's no hard mode bonuses at play here. Bartry is just better than Echidna. He's way bulkier. He has like 22 base strength, something like that. That's awesome. He's so strong. This is incredibly incorrect. Bartry is the superior of the 2. I don't know what his growths look like. It doesn't matter. He's better than Echidna. Okay, Garrett. Garrett's basically Bartry, but worse. He's a better class. I don't know, whatever. He can hit more often, but his damage is worse. But that's not true. You just mentioned that Bartry can use bows. Doesn't make any sense. He's a very mediocre unit, mostly replacement for whatever. He's not a replacement for these units like that. You don't have to replace these units. Yeah, I don't know. Garrett's an okay unit. He should probably be higher than a lot of these like weaker units. Way better than Juno, but everyone is, so I don't really understand that. But yeah, I guess it's fine. I don't know. Lina. Lina essentially everything. Really? So Lilina is only comparable to Lou. Whatever. Lina's not very good. I like Lina quite a bit, mostly just because I like mages. I think Lina's better than Hugh. It's weird that he has Hugh so much higher, because he mentions that the money that you have to pay to Hugh is a big deal. I don't know if you should factor that in, but also Hugh's recruited so much later. So much later. I mean, Lina can very easily be promoted and a really good stage by the time you recruit Hugh. I think Lina's definitely better than Hugh. Doesn't make any sense. But he did mention that Hugh should be lower, so I'll give him that. Ray's a shaman, which in general is bad. His hit rate is trash most of the time. This is Fire Emblem 6 specific. He should probably mention this. Oh, I'll scroll up. But yes, this is true. Flux has really bad hit. Dark Tomes weigh him down heavily. I don't think that's true. Nosferatu is probably his safest option. Even though it's not particularly great. Nosferatu is not particularly great? Well, what? His bases are not good enough to keep up. He's good in Arcadia, though, because he isn't slowed down. But after that, he can hit the bench. This is stupid. And this is also, like, kind of dumb because Part of Ray's problem in hard mode is that he doesn't get hard mode bonuses, but in normal, that's just fine. Like, so I don't know. Ray should be higher. I don't think Ray's that good. Flux is kind of bad. His bases aren't great, but yeah. Call bites, but I really like OJ. However, I have to admit that his stats aren't good. They're not. He's too rounded by everything. This is true, and doesn't deal enough damage to kill anything, even an Armor Knight, and his droid maps, even an Armor Knight. Okay, I think this guy's getting it. An Armor Knight because he comes with an Armor Slayer, but he doesn't mention it. Because let me tell you, if you're using anything that isn't an Armor Slayer, he's not going to deal anything to an Armor Knight. The good thing is his accelerated XP gain. He keeps mentioning this accelerated XP gain thing. Tells him to grow fast, but he'll never manage to catch up with Deke and Echidna. Again, this is just bad reasoning. You mentioned earlier that Fur is really good or can be really good because you can spend an entire chapter training her. You can't say that OJ will never catch up to Deke or Echidna. Echidna, by the way, a character that comes after you recruit OJ. You can't say that that he'll never catch up when you could just do the same thing you do with Fur. I mean, you can literally do the thing you do on Fur's recruitment chapter with OJ, and he'll be like just as strong by the time you recruit Echidna. Again, OJ is bad, and so is Fur, but this reasoning is just flawed over and over again. Yeah, whatever. Faye. Yeah, I know, whatever. But I don't like Fa. So using Faye, whatever. Sue me. Starts off with bad bases. Divine Stone, her gross, well, amazing, you're not going to catch up. Also, she only has 30 uses, basically Faye. Is a final map unit. And a final... Can she... I actually don't know how she... The thing about the final map is that it doesn't matter who's good on the final map. The final map is just really easy. I'm assuming he's talking about the Manakete one. Yeah, I don't know. Faye is actually a pretty good unit. The fact that she comes with, like, 20 resistance or something base is pretty ridiculous. She's really good at taking siege tomes, but I think this is fairly reasonable for her. Roy's a bad unit. Probably the worst lord in the series. I mean, Lyn, if you want to consider Lyn a lord, not a main lord, then this is not true, but whatever. At least stats, at least unit-wise. At least unit-wise? What the fuck does that mean? At least unit-wise? I guess that means as opposed to, like, lore-wise, but we're not talking about lores. I don't know, whatever. He's like the swords. It's 5 minutes for most of the game. Late promotion. Sorry, I think this tier list is killing me. But he's a liability. Yeah, I mean, Roy sucks. Whatever. Yeah, that's true. Geese. I like Geese a disappointing unit. I like using Geese casual playthroughs, but an optimal ones. This guy has never played an optimal playthrough in his fucking life. Oh my god, an optimal playthrough. Yes, Geese sucks. This is accurate. Corel, in case you're unaware, FE6 Corel has the best gross in the series. Oh my god, who gives a shit? He's level 19. He only grows by 2, sometimes 3 HP. This doesn't matter. None of this matters. Benicio rises as fun as it sounds. He only gets 1 level up. None of this matters. He's not good with that 1 level up. To add to that, he joins so late since his HP growth. Why are you talking about HP growth? Level 19. He may be good if he joined. He may be good. Wait, what? He may be good had he not joined so late. There's a Corel's filler in the final battle. So this is bullshit. Everything he just said is accurate, and would lead you to believe that Corel is arguably the worst character in the entire game. And yet, Corel is higher than both Chad and Ellen and many other units. No. You can't say reasonable things and then put Corel higher than a ton of units. Corel absolutely sucks. He's completely useless. The final chapter does not matter. By that point in the game, it doesn't matter the characters you get. He's not a Thos from Fire Emblem 7 where he's necessary. Corel is absolutely terrible. He's essentially a useless unit. I have no clue how you could put him higher than actual useful units like Chad and Ellen. This is insane. Alright, Chad. I don't care. He's gonna talk about Chad's growth. Chad should be higher. The fact that he's your only thief utility until you get a stall, which is important, by the way. There's multiple chests to open, makes him really useful. Also, there are multiple chapters where having 2 thieves is really useful, and some of those chapters are before you can recruit Kath. So yeah, he should be better, but whatever. I don't care about this. Ellen, that's the first step what you get, but is world renowned for having no magic or defense. Yep, she heals about 11 damage. I mean, she should be higher. She has staff utility. Ellen shouldn't be a meme unit. She has staff utility, but whatever. Who cares? Trek is considered a meme unit, but it's easier to I mean, the thing is, Trek isn't that much worse than Noah. He is worse, but not that much worse. And again, like, this Zealot obsession, Trek is going to be stronger than Zealot in the end. To be fair, you have to spend a lot of time with him, which you don't have to do with Zealot. Trek sucks. Let's move on. Douglas, whatever. Douglas sucks. Yeah, whatever. Douglas has some utility, but he sucks. Lot should be a lot higher. Lot and Ward are very similar units. They're not, and the debate is still raging out to this day. The difference is that Lot can't do damage where Ward can't hit. This isn't... I mean, they have, like, the same strength, basically. Both are red units because they're axe locked, so why is Lot above Wade? So the question is... Oh, I remember reading this. Wait, so the question was presented to you. Which would you rather have? 100% chance to win $5, 20% chance to win $25. Many people would choose a $25 gamble, but not me. This is so stupid. This is so dumb. It's not 20%. Number one, you don't have 100% with other units, not all of them. And number two, Lot and Wade don't both have a 20% chance to hit. And also the difference is this is just incredibly stupid. Yeah, whatever. To be fair, this whole thing about axes having really bad hit does have some, like, it's true, right? Most axe users in this game, especially axe locked users, are just pretty bad because axes are pretty bad at hitting. But Lot has, like, really good base, like, speed. His defense is actually, his base defense is a little bad. His growth is pretty good. He has good HP. He has good strength. Like, he's a solid unit. But to be fair, he's not spectacular, so I kind of understand. They're certainly better than Corel, but whatever. We're in D tier. Oh my god, I'm so done with this tier list. Okay, alright, there is one there. Yeah, I do remember this. Wade, yes, Wade sucks. Okay, Gonzales. Gonzales is basically Wade, but on steroids that themselves have steroids, which you'd think would be a positive thing, but he's lower. Gonzales' performance is completely based on luck. No wonder Mangs likes him. Okay, I vaguely know who Mangs is, but whatever. Gonzales can do a devastating amount of damage. That's great. But 9 times out of 10, he's going to miss. This is not true. He doesn't have 10% hit. That doesn't make any sense. Or will hit himself with a pile of assorted barn animal droppings. Very funny. That is the Devil's Axe. Like, this is insane. You don't have to use the Devil's Axe. If you were under the impression that the only way you could use Gonzales is if you used nothing but the Devil's Axe, I would totally agree. This unit's terrible. But you could just equip him with other weapons. So do that. Gonzales is just Wade, but even more unreliable. But also, like, Gonzales isn't more unreliable because he can double fairly consistently. Now, to be fair, Gonzales is extremely buffed by hardman bonuses. So if you don't have those, he is a lot worse. But again, this is just like, this just doesn't make any sense what he's saying. Whatever. Kath. Whatever. Kath is just another thief in the game. That's fine. Boars. Yeah, Boars is terrible. Widely and considerably known as Balls. I didn't know that. Whatever. Walt's terrible. Barth is terrible. Okay, whatever. This guy's a lot of fireable memes in here that I don't fully understand. So, Dorothy's terrible. I don't know if we really need to look at any of the rest of this. Oh, he's actually explaining Merlinus? Whatever. I don't care anymore. These units suck. Alright, whatever. Maybe if I had more energy right now, I'd want to... I think we've proved our point. Okay, let's look at some questions. How'd you make this tier list? How long does this post make? Yeah, on and off, about a week on and off. So this person spent a lot of time on this. And this is why I don't think this is like a meme. I don't think there's... Yeah, whatever. And then here's Fur, which is a nice picture of Fur, to be fair. Okay, we can look at some comments. So, okay, so most of these comments are whatever. I will say the one thing I want to mention is that this person did say, number one, it's normal mode. And number two, this person says it's outdated. Now, this is so insane, I still wanted to talk about it. And I don't know, like, you would have to dramatically change all of the stuff that this tier list talks about in order to make it, like, even reasonably reasonable, right? So maybe this person has come to their senses about, like, every single thing in the game, but I kind of doubt it. If this person has a new tier list, I couldn't find anything. If you click on their name, it doesn't really take you anywhere. But yeah, if this person has a new tier list, I would love to look at it. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up. We can go back up to the tier list. This is a really bad tier list. it's just all over the place. To be fair, normal mode does change some stuff, specifically really only the units that have hard mode bonuses, and some of those are going to be in places maybe I wouldn't expect them, so I'll give him credit for that. I know I was pretty harsh throughout this, but this is supposed to be in jest, so hopefully it wasn't too mean. And I know this was a long video, but yeah, if anybody has, by the way, any tier lists with explanations like these, I would love to look through them. I really love when people explain their positions. Yeah, I really enjoy that as opposed to just looking at a tier list. But yeah, I'm going to end the video here. I'm tired. I'm sure you're tired of listening to me. If you made it this far, you're great. Hopefully this was entertaining. But yeah, thanks everybody who did make it this far, and I will see you next time.